Well guys, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is that I got a new design, and don't say that I look like the dude from Undertale, cause then I'll say that you look like a But the bad news is that for today's video, we're going to the second worst place in America next to Huddle House, aka Detroit. Yeah, I know, it sucks, but hey, on the bright side, if you have $2,000 in your Chase account, I know how to turn it into $4,000. Just don't mention me when the feds come. But in other news, the lord of modern day punchline rap, aka BabyTron, has returned with his latest project, Ben Reaper 3 New Testament, being a follow-up to his previous project Old Testament and still carrying the same energy and bars that gave BabyTron his notoriety in the first place. Alright, so if I've gotten anything from its album, it's that I don't know how to feel about BabyTron. I mean, sure, it's cool hearing the punchline god come through with some more iconic bars, and even working some nice choruses, which is something that he refused to do before, but even still, when you gotta sit through an hour and a half worth of mostly basic Detroit-style sample and piano beats, it's kinda hard to actually place him anywhere as one of my top rappers. I mean, I think I've said this before, but one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to a lot of albums is when they're just stuffed with bloated, repetitive tracks that add nothing, such as SZA's SOS that came out last year. And when going through this album after about 10 tracks in, it starts to become a bit of a chore to get through, especially from the tracks Remote Control to Dirty Draco, all kind of relying on the same energy and monotone voice from BabyTron, alongside the same bars about scamming and more braggadocious and materialistic lines that don't have much substance aside from being setups for some clever Lil Wayne-esque punchline bar that could be made into an easy Instagram caption. But for what it's worth, at least BabyTron is able to excel greatly in this aspect with some both hilariously and sickeningly fire lines such as "feeling like Houdini make you poof when the trigger release" or "Mr. Take Your Shit, Brody seen more licks than envelopes." But when looking at this project in its entirety, there's not much here that really stands out, maybe aside from the track Gimme That, which is debatably the best song from the album. But as for the production, as stated before, it's mainly consisted of the standard Detroit sample sound, relying on popular songs and even TV shows and some heavy 808s to complement BabyTron's rapping. And while there were some solid beats here, such as on the tracks Gimme That and Forever Scams, there were some low notes, especially with the track Remote Control that samples the intro song from Futurama and turns it into this unorganized and just ugly Detroit style beat that Tron could have done without, to be honest. And there were also quite a bit of beat switches, with some songs having multiple within a 3-minute time frame that I thought was definitely interesting, such as with the track Next Level 2 that switches it up 4 times, or how Beetleborgs goes from this more chill, elevator music type beat to rolling it back into the Detroit sound for both BabyTron and Corday to jump on. But as for everything else, it's nothing too crazy. As stated before, it's all pretty repetitive, cookie cutter stuff that's just meant to blow up the speakers in your Nissan Altima. But of course, let's not forget the large array of features we had on this album, but if I'm being honest, only one of them I actually enjoyed, while I couldn't give a rat's ass about the others. And of course, I'm talking about Babyface Ray on Cat Dog, with him dishing out a nice verse to compliment BabyTron and make another one of the best from this album. But as for everyone else, such as Lil Yachty, Rimble, Rico Nasty, and the 7 dudes that were on Waffle House, I just don't really get anything from them, especially when you have guys like Lil Yachty, who, let's be honest, sucks pure ass on the Detroit beat. And that Rimble feature was just so stupid, and I don't know if it's me, but his vocal mixing seems so out of place on Rip Hutch, with his voice sounding muddy as hell alongside an already weak verse that definitely made him a sore thumb on the album. But I guess if I had to mention anyone, it would have to be Corday, who was on Beetleborgs, giving us a pretty J. Cole-esque verse, to no surprise, but still he worked well with what he got, even if he isn't one of my more liked rappers. But overall, this album would be a lot cooler if it wasn't 26 songs of fluff. I mean, I stated before, it's kind of a chore to get through for the most part, and in comparison to his previous installment, Old Testament, this kind of seems like a cheap piggyback that'll probably be forgotten by the end of the month, just like Old Testament. So to put this on a scale, I'm giving us a solid 3 out of 10, being something that'll bore me to death before I can really enjoy it. But how do you guys feel about the new BabyTron? What would you rate it? Let me know down in the comments, like and subscribe, and follow my IG and Twitter, and follow Chocolate on Instagram for more illustrations. And on that note, I'll see you guys on Monday when I learn how to steal a Kia Optima. Peace.